A Solid Home. A play by Elena Garro. Translation by Isabel Hermosillo. Edited by Francisco Javier Rodriguez. Characters.
Clemente, 60 years old.
Doña Gertrudis, 40 years old.
Mama Jesucita, 80 years old.
Catalina, 5 years old.
Vicente Mejia, 23 years young.
Muni, 28 years old.
Ava, foreigner, 20 years old.
Lydia, 32 years old.
Interior. Small room with stone walls and ceilings. We see no doors or windows. To the left, fitted to the wall, a bunk bed also made of stone. Mama Jesucita rests in one of them, dressed in a nightgown.
Clemente, Clemente, I can hear steps.
Oh, but you always do. Why are women so impatient, keen to foresee upcoming catastrophes?
Well, I do hear them.
But you are usually wrong, my dear. Your nostalgia for catastrophes take the best of you.
It might be true, but not this time.
Gatita's footsteps reverberate, echoing in several directions and different depths. Gatita enters wearing an 1865 dress, tiny black boots, and shell necklaces. Her hair is tied like a bun at her nape and held together with a red ribbon. Gatita hops and claps.
It's so many of them, Gertrudis. This is so good, so good. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la.
Doña Gertrudis, wearing a pink 1930 suit, enters.
Children are never mistaken. Someone is coming. Right, Tia Catalina?
Yes, they are. Since the first time they came, I knew. I was so afraid and lonely.
Clemente, wearing a black suit and white gloves. We hear bones rattling.
You might be right. Gertrudis helped me find the Metacarpus. I can't shake hands without them.
Vicente Mejia, wearing an official suit from the Juarista Armada. His voice is heard from back to frontwards. You developed an absent mind after all that reading, Don Clemente. That's why you have that nasty habit of forgetting everything. Look at me, in full uniform and ready for any event to come. Mama Jesucita, straightening up from her bed, shows her lace bonnet, decorated with flowers. Her voice comes from the depth of the cave towards the front as she sits forward from the bunk bed.
Gatita is right. Steps are coming this way. The first ones have stopped. Or maybe all the Ramirez have suffered an atrocity. This neighborhood has caused us enough trouble as it is.
Catalina enters, jumping, echoing footsteps from Gatita and others.
Go to sleep, Jesucita. It's the only thing you like. To sleep, to sleep. St. Augustine's roosters are already crowing. Is the pan dulce ready?
What would you like me to do?
They left me in my nightgown.
Don't be complaining, Doña Jesus. With all due respect, we thought it'd be more respectful.
More respectful? Is impertinence being respectful?
I could have helped, Mama. But what could we expect from the girls and Clemente?
Above them, the sound of many steps. They stop, and then stomping returns.
Gatita, come over and polish my forehead. I want it to be as bright as the North Star. Oh, what a time when I could run freely through the house like a lightning bolt, dusting the glimmering gold like filth that grazed the piano. Then, when every little thing was as radiant as a comet, I would break the thin sheets of ice left behind on the dew over the bucket, and I'd shower with the star-filled water. Do you remember? Get through these. That was life, surrounded by my children, stiff and clean as chalk sticks.
See, Mama. I remember the nights you and Papa would go to Los Héroes Theater. You'd thin out the blood under your eyes with lemons and burnt cork. You were so pretty with your fan and those stud earrings.
Life goes by within a blink of an eye, my child. Whenever I reach the theater's box seat...
Oh, for God's sake, now I can't find my femur.
How inconsiderate to interrupt a senora.
Gatita has been helping Jesucita fix her bonnet.
I saw Gatita using it as a trumpet.
Tia Catalina, where have you left Clemente's femur?
Jesucita! They want to take away my cornet!
Gertrudis, leave that child be. Now that I have your attention, I'll tell you. It isn't bad for the child to be sick, but for the bad habit to stick.
Pero Mama, don't be unfair. It is Clemente's femur.
You fop doodle! I hate you! It's not a femur, it's my cornet made of candy!
Oh, could it be that she ate it? Your aunt is impossible.
I don't know, Clemente. She did lose my broken collarbone. She loved the lime traces the scars left behind. And it was my favorite bone. It made me think of heliotropes covered stucco walls back home. Did I ever tell you that I fell? It happened around the time we went to the circus, when the whole town gathered to see Ricardo Bell. I remember that all of a sudden, a tightrope walker came into the scene, looking butterfly-like. How could I forget such a wonderful scene?
They hear a bang above.
I went back to the circus's barricade in the early morning. I started to dance on point after dreaming all night long that I was that butterfly.
A very strong hit is heard from above.
Of course, I didn't know I had bones. As a child, you don't even think of such things. Having broken it, I always say it was the first bone I'd ever had. Some things can be quite surprising.
The beating grows quicker. Vicente fixing his mustache. There is no doubt somebody is coming. Now we'll have guest. Whenever the moon high laughs in the shadows, hooah, and in the lagoon, the halogen sings.
Shut it, Vicente! This is not the time to be singing. Such ill-mannered guests. In my days, people would announce themselves before just showing up. There was respect. Now, let's see who they'll show up with. Probably some stranger, one of the girls married. May God have mercy towards those who are humble. Like our dear Ramon would say. May God have him in his grace.
Change suited you poorly, Jesucita. Opposing to every little thing. Before, you would be beaming all the time, dancing polkas all around. Do you remember the carnival and all the dancing? Da 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 da. Your pink dress would spin endlessly, and whenever I turned, there was your neck so close to my lips.
For God's sake, Primo Vicente, don't remind me of such foolishness.
What would Ramon say now? He was always so jealous. And now here we are together, while he rots by himself in the crypt of Dolores.
Tio Vicente, be quiet or you'll start trouble.
How many times do we need to explain this, Doña Jesus? At the time, we just didn't have the means to transport him.
And what are the girls waiting on to bring him? I need no explanations from you. Always with a lack of grace, of decency.
A strong blow is heard.
A light! A sable! I see San Miguel coming to visit again! Look at his spear!
Are we whole? Well now, attention! Attention! And we'll make it to morning.
Muni and my sister-in-law are missing.
You foreigners are always in your own world.
Mooney, someone is coming. Maybe one of your cousins. Doesn't that bring you joy, my dear? Once again, you can laugh and play with them. Perhaps you can even get over those blues.
Enters Ava. Foreigner, blonde, tall, sad, very young, using a 1920s travel suit.
Mooney was here a moment ago. Mooney, my darling son. Can you hear that sound?
Colliding waves can be heard in the distance.
The waves would collide just like that against the rocks back home. Oh, none of you knew that place. It stood over a rock as tall as a wave and constantly shaken by the winds that lulled us to sleep. Salty whirlwinds would cover the windows with starfishes. Oh, my father would gild lime in the kitchen with his solar hands. At night, many creatures would sneak in through the chimney. Creatures of Wind, of water, of fire, of salt, all of them cuddling by the flames. They would sing through the water drops of the leaky sink. Drip, drop, drip, 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 drop. And iodine would spread throughout the house like a dream. Oh, a shining dolphin's tail would announce the day had arrived, just like that, with a light of corals and scales.
Above, someone removes the first tile. The room is filled with sun. The luxurious suits are dusty, and the faces pale. Catalina jumps happily.
Look, Jesusita! Someone's coming! Who's bringing him? Doña Difteria? San Miguel?
Wait, child. Let's see.
Doña Difteria brought me. Do you remember her? She had 2 cotton fingers and wouldn't let me breathe. Were you afraid, Jesusita?
Yes, hermanita. I remember they took you away, and the patio's floor was covered with purple petals. Mama and the girls cried tremendously.
Silly. Apparently you didn't know you'd come here to play with me. San Miguel sat by me that day and wrote something in the sky above my house with his fire spear. I didn't know how to read, but I did. Was Simpson House for Ladies pretty?
So pretty, Catita. Mama sent us there wearing black ties, and you couldn't get to go there.
You studied the alphabet book? Mom was sending me to learn that. And how is it?
Mooney enters wearing pajamas. His face is blue and his hair blonde.
Who could it be?
Above to the open ceiling, a woman's feet are suspended through a circular light.
Clemente, those are Lydia's feet. Hijita mia, I am overjoyed you've died so promptly.
Everyone keeps silent. Lydia's descent begins. She is suspended with ropes. She's stiff, wearing a white attire, her arms crossed in front of her chest, her fingers making a cross, her head tilted forward, and her eyes barely closed.
Who is Lydia? Who's Lydia? Who's Lydia? Who's Lydia? Who's Lydia?
Who? ¿Lydia? She's la hija del tío Clemente and tía Gertrudis, Catita.
There were only a few of us. And then La Abuela gave birth. Now we have a whole lot of grandchildren. So many brats and rascals. Aren't cremation chambers the popular thing nowadays? It's certainly more sanitary, at least in my opinion.
But Lydia is just pretend, right, Jesusita?
If only, my child. Apparently, we have a place for everyone in the world down here. Except for my poor amor.
Oh, she's grown up. When I came here, she was as little as Mooney.
Lydia is standing, surrounded by everybody. Their eyes are on her. She opens her eyes.
Papa! Mama! Oh, Mooney.
You look good, hija.
Where is Abuela?
She can't get up. Do you remember we buried her in a nightgown? Well, that was a mistake.
Yes, Lily. I am lying in this bed per secula seculorum.
Oh, it's just my mom's mumble jumble. You know how she's always been.
It's worse, hijita, to be seen like this in the presence of our Lord and Savior. Don't you think it is rather sacrilegious?
Why wouldn't you bring me a dress? Remember the one I'd wear to visit the family. The one with the silver brocade and the violet bouquet around the neck. Oh, but everyone forgets about the elders like us.
Whenever San Miguel comes to visit, she hides.
And who are you, sweet child?
Gatita.
Ah, yes. We used to have you over the piano. Now she is at Evita's place. Oh, seeing you made me so glum, so melancholic in your white dress. I had forgotten you were here.
And are you happy to meet me, Sobrina?
Tio Vicente, we had you in the living room as well, wearing your uniform. And in a red velvet box, we safely kept your medal.
And don't you remember your Aunt Ava?
Tia Eva! Oh, I do remember you, but rather vaguely. Yet, I do recall your blonde hair, sprawled under the sun. Oh, I remember your purple parasol, and the gaze you held under its lights as if you were drowning in beauty. Your empty chair rocking with your vanishing voice when you passed on.
From the circle of light rises a voice. Speech is heard.
Mexico's generous soil opens its arms to embrace you in its loving refuge. Virtuous lady, exemplary mother, model wife, you leave such emptiness behind.
Who would address you in such a confident manner?
Don Gregorio de la Huerta y Remírez Puente, President of the Association for the Blind.
That's crazy. Why would so many blind people gather together?
But why does he address you so confidently?
It is the way everybody speaks to the dead nowadays, Mama.
Dreadful loss. Your absence will only weigh heavier over our shoulders with the passing of time. You leave behind a Christian and a solid home. Orphan to it both, households tremble at the sight of death.
Oh my goodness! How can that fool still linger around?
Abundant are the most useless things.
Yes, and now he is president of La Banca and president of the Knights of Columbus and president of La Bandera and even president of Mother's Day.
Only with unbreakable faith, Christian resignation and pity.
Don Hilario, always saying the same things.
That's not Don Hilario, Gatita. It's been almost 67 years since he's passed away.
When they brought me, he will say, "An angel has fluttered away." And it wasn't true. I was down here alone and frightened. Isn't it, Vicente? You know I am not fibbing, right?
Tell me about it. Imagine me arriving here, all disoriented, with all the gunfire and my open wounds. I want to see my mommy. I want to see my mommy. This girl really put up a fight. Suffice it to say, she was a harder nut to crack compared to those Frenchies. Stones begin to settle. The scene grows darker.
We were alone for so long. Isn't it, Vicente? We didn't know what was going on. Why nobody else came afterwards?
I told you, Gatita. We moved to Mexico. And then the revolution came.
Until one day, Eva came. Vicente, you said she was a foreigner because we didn't know her.
Oh, the situation was a bit complicated. And Ava wouldn't say a word.
I was very wary. And besides, I had Mooney and my home on my mind. And everything here was so silent, so soundless.
Silence. The last stone is set. The sound of stones against stones reverberate through.
And what do we do now?
We wait.
Oh, more waiting?
See, hija. In time, you'll see.
You will see everything you wish to see. Everything but your home with its white pine table, the waves at the window, and the ship's sails.
Aren't you happy, Lily?
Oh, I am, Mooney, especially seeing you. Remember the night I saw you on the police station's patio? Ooh, the aroma of urine. Sound asleep, your face blue, wearing crumbled pajamas at the guard's feet. And I asked myself, why? Why?
Me too, Lily. I never seen a blue corpse. Later on, Jesusita will tell me that cyanide has a lot of brushes, but only one color. Blue.
Stop bothering this boy so much. Blue suits blondes perfectly.
Why, Cousin Lily? Haven't you ever seen stray dogs lurking around for bones near the fly-swarmed butcher's shop with the butcher's fingers soaked in blood after tearing flesh from bone? Well, I no longer wish to walk on those dreadful sidewalks looking for a bone in the midst of blood, nor seeing how the streets became a drunk's best friend and dogs' urinals. I long for a happy city, filled with suns and moons. A solid city, like our childhood home. Every door had a sun, every window a moon, and air and stars will sparkle through the rooms. Do you remember, Lily? It had a labyrinth of laughter, and the kitchen was a crossroad with every river flowing into its garden. That was the home where societies were born.
A solid home, Mooney. That is exactly what I wanted. But then they took me into this strange house, only to find clocks and eyes without lids, ever watching me throughout the years. I avoided the maidens' dead words they'd sweep in the early mornings by cleaning the floors myself. They kept hostile glances at bay by polishing the mirrors. Oh, how I longed for a morning where their bitterness would transform into a loving presence. I opened book after book to distance myself from their circular hell. I'd embroider handkerchief after handkerchief with linked initials to see if I could find the magical, unbreakable thread that transformed two names into one.
I know, Lily.
It was useless. Their furious gaze never left my side. If only I could find the spider living in the house, I would tell myself, with its invisible thread that links flowers and light, apples and perfume, woman and man.
Only then could I embroider loving eyelids over the hostile eyes ever watching me.
And the house would tap into a solar order, transforming every balcony into a whole new country. Their furniture would blossom. Chalices would shift into overflowing waterfalls. Sheets would become magic carpets capable of soaring through dreams, and my children's hands would create castles, flags, and such epic battles. Oh, but Moony, I never found that thread.
So you told me at the police station, at that unknown backyard forever apart from the courtyard where the sky will count the hours left to play.
Yes, Moony. And with you, I tucked away my last day of childhood. Thereafter, alone, staring at the wall, all was left was Lydia, waiting.
I couldn't grow up living in corners. I wanted my house.
As did I. Moony, my child. I wanted a solid home. So much so that the sea would beat against it every night. Boom. Boom! And he would laugh with the cackle of my father, full of fish and nets.
Oh, aren't you happy, Lily? You'll find the thread and the spider. Now, your home is the center of the sun, the heart of every star, the root to all the plants, and the most solid point of every stone.
Yes, Lily, you might not know it yet, but sometimes you don't need a house or a river. We won't swim in the Mescala River. We will be the Mescala River.
Sometimes you'll feel so very cold, and you will become snow falling down an unknown city over gray tile roofs and red bonnets.
What I enjoy the most is being a marshmallow in a girl's mouth, or a golden thistle, so I can make readers by the window cry.
Don't sadden when your eyes begin to vanish, because then you'll become every dog's eyes looking at absurd feet.
Oh, let's hope you never become the visionless eyes of a blind fish in the depths of the ocean. You don't want to know how terrible it was, like seeing and not seeing.
You were so scared when you became the worm that will go in and out of your mouth.
For me, the worst was becoming the assassin's knife.
Now, the gophers will return. Don't shriek when you run over your own face.
Oh, don't tell her such things, you'll frighten her. It's always haunting to learn how to become so many things.
Especially because one barely learns how to be human while living in the world above.
Can I become a pine tree, holding a spider's nest and build a solid home?
Sure. You will be the pine, the stair, and the fire itself.
And then
Then God will call us upon His grace.
After learning all things, San Miguel's spear, the center of the universe, shall appear. With its light, divine hordes of angels will rise, and we will be one with their celestial order.
I want to be the fold of an angel's robe.
Your color will match up, shining beautifully. But what will I do? Confined to this nightgown.
I wanna be God's index finger!
Niña!
Ave Maria Purísima.
I want to be a wave filled with salt and transformed into a cloud.
and I want to be the fingers of the Virgin's tailor to embroider. Oh, to embroider.
And I want to be the music in Santa Cecilia's harp.
And I'll be the wrath of San Gabriel's sword.
And I, a particle of San Pedro's stone.
And I, the window to the whole world.
There won't be any world left, Gatita, because we will all become one after Judgment Day.
There won't be a world anymore. And when will I get to see it? I saw nothing. I didn't even get to study the alphabet book. I want there to be a world.
Oh, shh. See it now, Gatita.
Jesus Virgen Purísima. Judgment Day's trumpet. And here I am in a nightgown. Dios mío, forgive me.
No, abuela. It's only curfew. There's a station near the cemetery.
Oh, why, yes. They told me before, and I always forget. Whose idea was it to put it near us? Oh, what a government. It serves only to confuse.
Curfew? I'm out. I'm gone. I am the wind. The wind that opens the doors that I never opened. The same wind whirling up the stairs I never stood foot on. I am the wind blowing in the streets anew to my uniform, pulling unknown skirts up in the air. Such briskness.
You wicked boy.
Oh, rain above the water.
Log on fire.
Do you hear? A dog howling. Oh, Melko.
The table where 9 kids eat. I am the king.
He lives. Tender sprout.
Starlight sinking into the Black Sea.
A solid home.
That is me. The stones of my tomb.
End of play.